Granting Russia exclusive rights to the Arctic presents a myriad of potential disasters, primarily due to the environmental risk, heightened geopolitical tensions, and the looming threat of militarization in a region already under significant strain. The delicate ecosystems of the Arctic are particularly vulnerable, and Russia's historical record concerning environmental protection, especially in these sensitive areas, raises alarm bells regarding the region's future. The Arctic is a fragile ecosystem facing unprecedented challenges, exacerbated by climate change and the melting of ice. Russia's past actions illustrate a concerning disregard for environmental stability. Increased resource extraction, particularly through illegal mining and drilling for precious minerals, poses a significant threat to the region. A recent oil spills in the Black Sea involving a Russian-owned tanker revealed severe inadequacies in the environmental preparedness and response. Such incidents underscore the potential for catastrophic environmental disasters in the Arctic, potentially leading to pollution, habitat destruction, and detrimental impacts on local communities reliant on these ecosystems. The Arctic is a strategically significant region with various nations asserting competing claims and interests. Confirming rights to Russia would undoubtedly disturb the precarious balance of power among Arctic nations, further escalating tensions. Russia's military incursions and aggressive posturing, exemplified by its actions in Ukraine, have already strained international relations, and granting it exclusive Arctic control could trigger a new wave of conflict in an already volatile landscape. The ongoing militarization of the Arctic by Russia is a growing concern. The establishment of a new military bases and the conduct of military exercises, as detailed by many media, highlight a troubling trend that could lead to larger conflict in the region. Granting Russia sole rights would likely accelerate this militarization, transforming the Arctic into potential theater of war amid rising tensions. Russia's operations in the Arctic have been criticized for their opacity, casting doubts on the country's commitment to responsible resource management and environmental protection. Granting exclusive rights would likely exacerbate this lack of transparency, undermining international cooperation essential for addressing pressing environmental issues and sustainably managing the Arctic's resources. Russia's sole right to the Arctic would be a grave mistake. It jeopardizes the fragile environment, destabilizes the region, and heightens the risk of conflict while simultaneously eroding international cooperation and transparency. The implications of such a decision, particularly in light of climate change, ice melting, and pursuit of precious minerals, could have dire consequences for both Arctic and the global community at large. The Arctic should remain a shared resource for many environment friendly nations only, and promoting sustainable practices and collaborative efforts to protect one of the planet's last frontiers. Denmark is really stepping up its game when it comes to tackling climate change. They have formed some awesome green strategic partnership and energy collaboration agreement with countries that account for a whopping 70% of global carbon dioxide emissions. This isn't one-sided effort. Denmark and the United States are both super keen on finding solutions to climate change. What's cool about this collaboration is the focus on sharing knowledge and working together on technology, especially in clean and sustainable energy. Denmark is all about international cooperation to tackle those big global challenges, and teaming up with the United States is a huge part of the mission. You can see the partnership in action through various initiatives, especially in sustainable urban developments. So, whether you are passionate about climate change or just curious about what countries are doing to make a difference, it's exciting to see how Denmark and the United States are working hand in hand for a greener future. Isn't it odd that in Denmark, conservation areas are bustling with domestic livestock? You would think protected lands would be all about protecting nature, not hosting a livestock convention. Instead of flourishing trees and bushes, we have got cows and horses munching away, apparently helping nature by keeping the vegetation at bay. But here is the kicker: some of these poor creatures are left to suffer in the enclosures, sick and starving, with their carcasses on the display for horrified visitors. Talk about a nature reserve gone rogue. On a global scale, let's not forget that the United States is Denmark's largest non European trade partner. Who knew that Denmark was serving up a smorgasbord of exports to the land of the free, from industrial machinery and pharmaceuticals to good all canned ham? It's a trade buffet, and let's not overlook the iconic Legos. Who could resist building their own little Denmark in a living room? The National Petroleum Reserve Alaska stands as a vital sanctuary for diverse array of Arctic wildlife, including the majestic caribou population that have faced alarming global declines in recent years. This pristine environment is not such a refuge, it is a testament to the resilience of nature and interconnectedness of lives in one of the Earth's most fragile ecosystems. However, as we look forward towards the future, the expansion of oil and gas development poses a significant threat to this delicate balance. The beautiful yellow-billed loon, a symbol of the Arctic's rich avian life, faces a potential peril as their habitats are disrupted and the once serene landscape is filled with the clamor of industrial activity. Infrastructure projects such as roads, pipelines, airstrips, and gravel pads fragments the landscape, degrading the very essence of the environment. These changes can alter water flow and affect the timing of ice melt, which are critical factors of wildlife. Disruption of reproduction and migration routes jeopardizes the survival of species and depend on large connected habitats. It is imperative that we recognize the urgency of this movement as the impacts of climate change ripple through our ecosystems. Together, we can advocate for the preservation of these irrepressible landscapes by standing up for the National Petroleum Reserve Alaska and the wildlife it shelters. We not only protect these species but also take a stand for the health of our planet. Let us be inspired to act to ensure that future generations inherit a world where the beauty and diversity of Arctic wildlife continues to thrive amidst the challenges of climate change. Switching gears, the construction of the Tara Polar Station kicked off in Cherbourg, France, thanks to the genius minds and constructive constructions mechanicus de Normandy. This project has a bit of backstory. Originally, it was collaboration that included Russia, but then, due to Ukraine-Russia war, they have been excluded. Now, we are all just trying to figure out how to keep our polar bears cool. And speaking of cool, Greenland has become a hot topic for Washington with its icy allure. It's like the ultimate pieces of real estate for the United States. A physical insurance policy for the homeland. Yet, there's been some serious backlash from Denmark over any talk of selling off Greenland. Let's like a yard sale item. In the end, whether it is the cows in the Denmark or climate change in the Arctic, one thing's for sure, Mother Nature has twisted sense of humor and we are just along for the ride. Russia is embarking on an ambitious journey to tap into the mineral riches of its Arctic region, aiming to issue a staggering 176 licenses for resources extraction by 2035. This initiative is not merely an economic strategy, it represents a deeper pursuit of the Arctic's bountiful natural resources, including oil, gas, and various minerals. As the nation invests heavily in advanced infrastructure and technology to bolster these mining operations, there is a simultaneous responsibility to confront the pressing environmental concerns that accompany such endeavors. The northern sea routes offer a tantalizing promise of shorter shipping distances, yet it bears a ominous shadow, significant risk to the delicate climate and environment. The surge in shipping activity inevitably brings with it a specter of oil spills, air pollution, and the alarming acceleration of ice and permafrost melt. There are several harmful effects of this increased activity, like the heightened shipping volume raises the stakes, dramatically increasing the likelihood of oil spills and maritime accidents. Such incidents can wreak havoc of marine ecosystems, harming the very lifeblood of our oceans. Moreover, the accidental release of hazardous and noxious substances during transit threatens the purity of our water bodies and the survival of marine life. The combustive engines of ships contribute to deteriorating air quality, emitting greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide and black carbon. These black carbon particles, when deposited on pristine snow and ice, hasten their melting, exacerbating global warming and disrupting regional weather patterns. Additionally, nitrogen oxide and sulfur oxide emissions from the shipping industry further worsen air quality, continuing the cycle of climate change that endangers our planet. The cacophony of shipping activities disrupt marine habitats, posing a threat to wildlife, including vulnerable marine mammals and seabirds. The increased noise pollution can interfere with the natural communication and navigation of these creatures, further endangering their existence. The warming of Arctic due to emissions from shipping is a harbinger of profound changes, accelerating ice melt, thawing permafrost, and altering regional weather patterns. These shifts can have cascading effects that ripple through global climate systems and ecosystems. Moreover, the thawing permafrost may unleash methane, a potent greenhouse gas, into the atmosphere, intensifying the fight against climate change. Navigating the NSR is not without its challenges. It demands specialized ice breaking technology and robust infrastructure. We must advocate for stricter regulations and emissions control measures to mitigate the environmental impact of shipping in the Arctic. The fragile Arctic environment calls for a careful and compassionate assessment of the potential repercussions of increased shipping activity. As we stand at this critical juncture, it is imperative that we recognize the profound implications for our actions on the Arctic and the broader world. We must unite in our commitment to protect this irrepressible region, acknowledging that the choices we must today will resonate for the generations to come. The fight against climate change and global warming is not just an environmental challenge, It is a moral obligation to safeguard our planet and its diverse ecosystems for the future generations. Let us tread carefully and ensure that the Arctic remains a sanctuary of natural beauty and ecological integrity. Russia's recent shift in its approach to Greenland has raised significant concerns among international observers, particularly in the light of ongoing discussions about global warming and its implications for Arctic geopolitics. Russia appeared to distance itself from United States. President's March 2025 threatens to annex the island. However, the rhetoric has now escalated with Russian officials issuing warnings of potential military responses should armed conflict arise over this strategically vital territory. In a notable statement, Russia's ambassador to Denmark articulated that military and technical measures could be employed if tensions escalate regarding Greenland. This warning underscores the increasing volatility in the Arctic region, which is already feeling the effects of global warming. The melting ice caps and changing climate patterns have intensified competition among nations for resources and strategic positioning in the Arctic, making conflicts over areas like Greenland more likely. The ambassador highlighted that in the context of a sharp aggravation of the international situation, the consequences of which hurt the state of affairs in the Arctic, the conflict around Greenland will certainly have a detrimental impact on the regional security. This sentiment reflects the broader implications of the ongoing geopolitical struggles where the specter of a potential Russian invasion looms in the discussions about Arctic sovereignty and security. These developments serve as a critical reminder of how climate change and geopolitical interests are intertwined. As global warming continues to reshape the Arctic landscapes, the stakes for regional security and international diplomacy are higher than ever. Russia's dominance in Arctic investments, accounting for the astonishing 50 to 60%, underscores its strategic positioning in the geopolitically and environmentally sensitive region. The remaining investments are shared amongst seven other Arctic nations: Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Iceland, and the United States of America and Canada. This disparity not only highlights Russia's substantial influence but also raises critical questions about the future of Arctic governance and the environmental stewardship, especially in the context of global warming. In a significant meeting held in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on February 19, 2025, representatives from Russia and the United States engaged in discussions surrounding potential collaboration on Arctic energy projects. This is not just a diplomatic encounter, it marks a crucial turning point in the US foreign policy, particularly given the historical reluctance to engage in such cooperation ventures with Russia. But the implications of this dialogue extend far beyond a mere exchange of pleasantries. It signals a willingness to reconsider long standing positions that have hindered progress of critical global issues, including energy sustainability in the face of global warming. As climate change continues to pose an existential threat to our planet, the need for innovative energy solutions have never been more pressing. The Arctic, with its untapped resources and strategic importance, represents a frontier that could either exacerbate or alleviate the impacts of the global warming. Depending on how these nations choose to approach development. The meeting's agenda was primarily centered on improving US Russia relations and seeking pathways to end the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. However, one cannot overlook the broader context of the energy discussions that were woven into the fabric of these talks. The potential for cooperation in the Arctic could have or pave the way for joint initiatives aimed at the developing cleaner energy resources, thereby contributing to global efforts to combat climate change. It is imperative for the global community to recognize that collaboration rather than isolation may be the key of addressing the multifaceted challenges posed by global warming. The willingness of Russia and the United States to explore cooperative energy projects would serve as a model for other nations grappling with similar dilemmas. In a conclusion, while skepticism about US Russia cooperation is understandable, given the historical context, the urgency of the climate crisis compels us to advocate for dialogue and collaboration. The decision made in Riyadh could resonate far beyond the negotiation table, potentially influencing global energy strategies and fostering a more sustainable future for all. Let us not dismiss this opportunity for progress. Instead, let us encourage it as a necessary step towards a more cooperative and environmentally conscious world. As the effects of global warming manifest with increasing severity, melting ice caps, rising sea levels, and shifting ecosystems, the Arctic is becoming a focal point for both economic opportunity and ecological concern. Russia's aggressive investment strategy is likely aimed at capitalizing on new shipping routes and resource extraction opportunities that were previously inaccessible due to ice cover. However, this poses significant risk not only to the fragile Arctic environment but also to global climate stability. It is imperative that we follow developments in the Arctic closely in the coming years. The actions taken by Russia and its Arctic counterparts will have lasting implications for climate change mitigation efforts and international relations. The balance of power in the Arctic is not just a regional issue, it is a global concern that demands our attention and action. As stewards of the planet, we must advocate for sustainable practices and cooperative governance in the face of global warming, ensuring that the Arctic's rich resources are managed responsibly for the benefit of all humanity. In July 2025, Delhi's air quality is like that unpredictable friend who shows up to a party, sometimes charming, sometimes a bit of disaster. The PM 2.5 levels are generally shutting their stuff in the satisfactory to moderate range. But don't be surprised if they occasionally decide to throw a tantrum. The AQI influenced by PM 2.5, PM 10 and the other pesky pollutants fluctuates more than your mood during a Monday morning meeting. Delhi's AQI is mostly hanging out in the satisfactory to moderate zone, perhaps sipping chai and chatting with PM 2.5, PM 10 and their pollutant pals. PM 2.5 concentrations are playing hide and seek with some areas in Delhi feeling like they are hosting a pollution party while others are blissfully unaware. You can keep an eye on real time air quality data. It's like having a pollution gossip column with 2.5 pm levels changing faster than a Bollywood plot twist. The rainy season, it is like nature's way of hitting the refresh button on the air quality. But hold our horses, ozone levels can still be a bit of a diva, especially when heat waves decide to crash the party. Looking back at the historical data from 2016 to 2025 is reading the memoirs of pollution in Delhi filled with ups, downs, and few too many plot holes. Wind speed and direction are like the bouncers of air quality. When the winds are strong, they help disperse those unwelcome pollutants. Summer can turn ozone levels into drama queens, spiking due to the love affair between nitrogen oxides and the volatile organic compounds. Comparing air quality of current times with previous years feels like a reality show called Keeping Up with the Pollution in Delhi, where we assess if the mitigation efforts are even working. Weather is like that friend who can change the vibe in the second. Wind speed, temperature, and rainfall can make or break the pollution game. The usual suspects of pollution include vehicle emissions, industrial activities, construction, and of course the infamous biomass burning. It's like they are all in the cahoots. Delhi's geographical features play a role too. It's like natural amphitheater where pollution can either echo beautifully or get trapped unceremoniously. Continuous monitoring of air quality is like having a pollution watchdog keeping track of the dirty little secrets of the air. Delhi has rolled out various measures to tackle pollution, including regulation, emissions, and promoting cleaner fuels because who doesn't love a cleaner ride? Educating the public about the dangers of air pollution is crucial. Imagine everyone wearing Save Our Air badges like superheroes, investing in public transport, promoting electric vehicles, and improving waste management are all steps in the right direction. It's like giving a Delhi much needed makeover. While Delhi's air quality in July 2025 isn't as grim as in the winter months, it still has its fair share of challenges, particularly with PM 2.5 and ozone levels. Continuous monitoring, effective mitigation measures, and a sprinkle of public awareness are essential to tackle the pollution in Delhi beast and improve air quality in the region. Let's not forget about the rainy season. It brings a temporary reprieve, washing away some pollutants, but just like that friend who leaves a party only to come back with more chaos, the underlying pollution issues remain unresolved. The battle against air pollution is an ongoing saga, and it looks like we will need more than just an umbrella to weather the storms of corruption and pollution.